Today I'm going to go over who makes the best cartridge filter for your cartridge filter. I have the major brands here. I have Unicell, I have Pleatco, and I have Filbur, and I also have a cartridge by a company called Eaton Equipment. They make an XL cartridge filter. Okay, and the System 3 retrofit kit replaces your existing System 3 cartridge configuration. It looks something like this here. And that's what your System 3 filter looks like after you put the System 3 retrofit kit in. Okay, let me pull out a cartridge here from each one of these boxes and I'll go ahead and compare them with each other. I'm going to compare the Pleatco cartridge, I'm going to compare the Eaton Equipment XL cartridge, the Unicell cartridge, and the Filbur cartridge together. I'm going to go ahead and go over the end caps, the filter material itself, the core of the filter, which is the middle area, and the bands that hold the pleats spaced on the filter itself. Okay, one of the most important things is what is the filter media made out of, and both the Pleatco and the XL cartridge use a point bond polyester. You can actually feel the fabric. It actually looks almost like a cloth material compared to the other two cartridges. The Unicell and the Filbur use the remade material, and it feels more like a paper material versus the other two that feel more like a cloth material. And so the Pleatco and the XL cartridge have a lot more fibers in their media versus the Unicell and the Filbur, which are using the remade material. And the Pleatco uses a super bond band here, and it's almost like super glued on here. They have 4 of them on their cartridges, and what these do is they keep the cartridge pleats from opening up here, which will help with the cleaning and the flow of the filter. So it's good to have these kind of condensed and having the bands on here. And the XL cartridge also has 4 bands. They're not quite as super glued on as the Pleatco one, but they do the job to keep the filter cartridge pleats separate. Okay, the Unicell actually uses almost like the similar super glue type for their bands, and they're on there really good. They're a little on the thin side, but they're on there really good. And the Filbur bands are on there pretty good also. Not quite as good as the Unicell or the Pleatco, but they're on there good. Okay, all 4 of these cartridges use antimicrobial end caps on their filters. And one difference is that the XL cartridge actually uses antimicrobial on top and also in the core of their filter cartridges. Okay, and if you look at the cores of these cartridges here, the Filbur and the Unicell, they use a punched PVC. You can see all the holes punched in there. And the XL and the Pleatco use an open flow core, so there are more squares cut into the PVC pipe, giving it more flow. Both have the same identical interior. The XL and the Pleatco uses a point bond polyester, which will allow for more flow. It'll actually trap more dirt onto the cartridge itself, and it'll actually make it easier to clean the cartridge. And the Unicell and the Filbur are using the remade material. I would say that the XL cartridge and the Pleatco are comparable to each other, and the Unicell and the Filbur are comparable to each other also. So these cartridges are all for a Pentair Clean and Clear Plus 420 square foot filter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to install them in one filter. I'm going to check back in a couple months to see how they're holding up, how easy they are to clean, and how much dirt each filter media collects on it. And you can see these are the original Pentair cartridges that came with the filter itself. You can see that they're getting pretty bad. This one here, the band is ripped here, and the pleats are pretty separated. Okay, so I had the 4 cartridges in the filter. I put it with the words up. That's usually the way you want to install them, with the blank side on the bottom. So I'll be back in 2 months to take this apart and clean these cartridges and see how they look.